Hi everyone. Have you ever wrapped yourself around a quilt and felt like you were being hugged by someone you love? Welcome back to Mending Moments with Rita. I'm glad you're here. Today, I'm not making a brand new quilt. Instead, I'm doing something that many people, and in many ways, is more meaningful. I'm repairing a quilt. So this beautiful quilt belongs to a client. And over the years, it's been loved, it's been used, it's been washed, it's been folded, and it's been treasured. So I want to make repairs to honor the original maker's work while helping this quilt continue to be loved for many years to come. So when we mend something, instead of replacing it, what we're doing is we're saying that it still matters. We recognize that its value isn't measured by perfection, but by the life it has lived. And I think that's true of people too, isn't it? None of us go through life without a few worn edges. We all have places where we've been stretched, where life has left some marks on us. Yet those experiences don't lessen our value, right? They become part of our story. And if you know, you know. So in many ways, this quilt reminds us that being well loved sometimes means showing some signs of wear. And there's where beauty in caring enough to repair what matters comes in. So as I work on this quilt, I'll share some of the techniques I'm going to be using, and I also hope that you'll think about those special quilts of your own that maybe you've got tucked away in a closet somewhere because you're afraid it might get damaged, or maybe it belonged to someone that you miss. Maybe it's waiting for a little care so it can be enjoyed once again. So again, quilts are meant to be used. They're meant to be loved and shared. And when they need a little mending, that's simply another chapter in their story. So come with me and I'll show you more of what we're going to do. Here's a closer look at the fabric where you can see close up. So some of these particular blocks, by the way, this was all done by hand. So I'm going to be following the same hand technique. I'm not as experienced as some of these quilters were, so I'm going to be trying my best to be able to copy or follow her design. But if you notice this particular block, the hand stitches have pretty well come apart in that block, like it's kind of all apart. And so what I've done is, if you can see this, is I've taken a heat erasable pen and traced the design. And I will be sewing that by hand. I'm going to be using these embroidery hoops to keep it stiff and keep it taut in that. The other thing is, here's a bigger block. Well, it's 2.5 by 2.5. I've chosen a similar piece of fabric that I have in my stash, and we'll be putting that on top. I'm going to be folding it and ironing it to keep its shape. I'll probably use some spray adhesive or a pin to hold it in place while I trace it out by hand, also in matching thread. So everywhere I've got a little piece pinned is where there is a piece of fabric that needs to be replaced. It's really in great condition. This quilt is over 30 years old. It has the name monogrammed on the corner, and it was specifically made for my client by his mom, and his mom has passed away. So this is a very valuable and treasured piece for him. I've changed my mind. I am not using the embroidery hoop. It was actually getting in the way. So I can manipulate the fabric a little bit better by doing it by hand, and I'm going to try and do as tiny stitches as I can while also getting through all 3 layers of fabric. I have conditioned my thread with some wax. This is always a good idea to have some of this around, and you'll just thread through it. It helps eliminate knots and any bit of tangling, especially in something like this where it can get tangled quite easy. So I'm going to continue doing this throughout the whole quilt, making sure that I catch anything that's missing, any of those threads that have broken over the years, and just attaching it all together, and it'll finish off nicely. Then I'll iron it to get rid of that heat removable pen. So one of the areas of this quilt is worn so much over the years that the fabric has actually begun to disintegrate a bit. This is common with older fabrics, and it's been well loved and well used. So instead of, redoing the whole quilt, I'm just going to carefully cut around this. The batting still looks good. And then what I'm going to do is try to replace it with something that matches and keeps the original design as close as possible. So the goal here isn't to erase the quilt's history or make it look brand new. It's just to restore its strength while respecting the craftsmanship in the original maker. So again, I'm just going to do blind slip stitch all the way around here. If you'll notice, the other part of the quilt has some top stitching. I'm not going to do that. There's other pieces down here that I'm going to replace. So I'm just replacing a few blocks that are a little bit more damaged. Quilt repair is a balance between conservation and care. It's a reminder that even when something becomes worn with time, it can still have many more years of life ahead with a little patience and skill and a lot of love. So thank you for spending a little time with me as we worked on this beautiful quilt. The things we love most are often worth caring for and mending. So if this touched your heart and taught you something, or it inspired you to look at a treasured quilt a little differently, I'd love for you to like and subscribe to Mending Moments with Rita. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you have any comments. So until next time, keep creating, keep mending, and remember, every stitch has a story. See you soon.